This is high-end luxury. This is by far one of the most luxurious upcoming condos of San Francisco. I mean, just look at the image, right? It's a skyscraper. It's 47 stories tall, and it's in a pretty good location, right next to the Twitter HQ, Uber HQ, and also the Reddit HQ. Not to mention, if you just take Market Street all the way down, you get directly to downtown San Francisco. So the commute times are very low. You got some pretty cool amenities, and also you get to live in a very luxurious tower, right? And they're going to be announcing 333 condos for sale, or at least they were to announce that many condos. And here's the thing, to get a skyscraper of this caliber approved, you're going to be needing like 2, 3, 4 years of planning. And I'm sure they started planning this before the pandemic even begun. So back in 2019, real estate market was super hot in San Francisco. If they built something like this, they could charge an insane premium for 333 condos, and they'll be making a fat profit. It'll probably be sold out in just like a couple months. That was how hot the San Francisco real estate market was before the pandemic. But then suddenly, 30 Van Ness is now canceled. The plot of land you could also see on Google Maps. If you just go to 30 Van Ness, you do see a really fat plot of land that's completely vacant. Now, if you put the little Google guide down on the street, you're going to be seeing some machinery and also a little bit of preparation, but most of it is going to be vacated very, very soon. Plots of land like these that are in the middle of like this downtown area is very rare. I mean, these other skyscrapers around them, they spent years preparing and trying to get customers and trying to get the government officials to approve them. And now with this project having a green light, and then suddenly they see themselves, okay, San Francisco real estate is so doo-doo that we're probably not going to be making any money from this. And now they've completely halted on the skyscraper. They can't find tenants, and investors don't want to invest in this tower either. So we do have an Australian developer behind this San Francisco thing. The only major high-rise project right now is now being halted and most likely being canceled. We've already seen a couple other skyscraper projects before they even broken ground. They've totally canceled it. Now, here's what's going on here. They haven't even made the foundation for the building. Now, the foundation is one of the most expensive parts of the building, and they don't even have money or investors to just back the foundation. And I'm sure a lot of investors, the reason why they don't want to do this is so many buildings in San Francisco are already going foreclosure. If you want to get like a residential building, just go to the foreclosure website and you could get a bunch of foreclosed buildings for cheap. Why would you spend almost $1 billion building something like this when your neighbor, this blue skyscraper in the behind this crane, is actually going bankrupt? If you look at NEMA, these guys, they can't even rent out half of the units at this point. This is one of the most luxurious apartments for rent in San Francisco. You got views of the whole city, right? It's surrounded by a lot of low rises. And like I said before, if you want to spend like 3 G's on a 1 bedroom, this is where you're going to. And not to mention, they're really close to like X headquarters, or AKA Twitter, and also other companies around them. And the location's fantastic. Like I said before, the amenities are fantastic. But here's the thing. They don't even have enough money to pay their basic stuff. And the possibilities right now of them defaulting on like $400 million of loans is super high. And that's what's scary, right? Developers are really scared about this kind of stuff because they see, oh crap, so you tell me the building right next to us is about to go default? And what scares any developer is if you can't sell the units, at least rent the units out. But if there's nobody even renting the units and you're going to be making such a high caliber building, that's a mistake. Even small landlords and construction projects are facing some pretty big obstacles, right? You also have this whole entire condo complex. This is not in the hood, okay? This is not in the trenches. This is in a very good part of town. So if you check out where this location is, it's over here by the sea. This place is fantastic. You're right next to the UCSF hospital and their campus. You're next to the Chase Center. This is like the Dog Patch neighborhood. High-end, Mission Bay, you get the idea. Next to the water. This is actually a place where it commands high real estate value, and before the pandemic, this was actually heavily sought after. So if you look at what's going on here, a whole entire condo complex. Look at this. This is a very good looking low-rise condo. These condos typically get sold out very, very quickly, but the developers can't even sell a single unit. And this whole entire building is now being handed back to the lender. Okay, and it's unpaid debt on $15.4 million. It's gonna have around 24 residential units. And at one point, the whole entire property, the whole building, all the 24 units were listed on sale for just $19 million. That is below the market value for a 2-bedroom condo in those 1-bedrooms. It's crazy to see this, right? It's crazy to see condos in Mission Bay selling for less than $1 million, especially when this building has a lot of 2-bedroom units along with it. And then it got dropped to $16 million, nearly a $3 million drop, and nobody wants it. And this is insane, right? And one of the reasons why is nobody really wants to be in San Francisco, and this is actually causing a lot of headaches for developers who just recently got approved, and now they're heavily considering whether or not to proceed. And in my point, don't proceed at all, right? If you want to get an office tower, just buy like one of the foreclosed ones. There's so many foreclosed office towers that it's probably way cheaper to buy one of them than build like an office tower. Like Wells Fargo even sold their massive complex for just like $60 million. And it's just such a big building too. And I can't imagine buying one of these buildings. It's just like a massive money pit. I mean, San Francisco looks like this all the time. And by the way, right next to 30 Van Ness, you do have like the Civic Center and also the federal government building, which basically looks like this all the time. There's a lot of drug use, right? A lot of people using fentanyl. There's tents, people who have mental problems, people who basically need the city's help, but the city pretty much gives them a bunch of neglect and they're just on the streets. This is what it looks like right next to 30 Van Ness. And this is part of the reason why people don't want to come back to San Francisco. It looks like this all the time. There's tents everywhere. Businesses are gone. Prime retail stores are empty. It's just not a great place to be. I'm sure there's other parts of San Francisco that's pretty good, like the north part, but this whole entire Civic Center, Tenderloin District, it's expanding faster than you could ever imagine. And look at the amount of abandoned retail stores of downtown San Francisco. This is why 150,000 office workers are no longer coming back to San Francisco, which of course affects the overall rental market, right? When you have that many office workers, they just work remote. They just leave San Francisco. Why pay 3 G's for a 1 bed when we could get like something way cheaper and way better? You also have a rise of digital nomads, which pretty much makes online work here to stay, with a lot of young people liking being a digital nomad. They like working online and traveling the world, or go to live on some cheap beach, okay, and live like a king at like 80, 90K a year. And this is what a lot of young people are doing. Businesses love it. Okay, they could pay slightly less and they don't have to rent offices. And this is pretty much the decline of San Francisco, in my opinion, right? When real estate takes a big fumble like this, it's terrible. I mean, Manhattan and the rest of New York City isn't doing so hot either, but at least when there's an available plot of land, a bunch of developers start building towers because at least they can rent them out easily. But San Francisco, even trying to rent out some of these condos is a tedious method. And if NEMA is going bankrupt and defaulting on nearly $400 million of loans, maybe it's not a great idea to construct this tower. And that's what a lot of investors are thinking.